Welcome, everyone, and welcome to Yinka Freeman with Triple Pocket Events and Tiffany Cannava with GKollaborative for being here with me today. Hi, both.
Hello.
So before I have you both introduce yourself, I want to set the stage for why I brought you both here today. We've been handling more and more nonprofit events throughout really this whole pandemic, as most nonprofits have shifted their in-person events to virtual. And this shift has really, and workload kind of provided us with tons of learning opportunities and newfound best practices, which I've actually spoken with both of you about vendors and best practices and challenges, et cetera, et cetera. And we've individually all had such engaging conversation. So I wanted to bring you both here today, kind of spread that word and have that conversation openly like we have had individually. And hopefully others can learn from what we know together. But first, before we get into that, let's introduce ourselves. So Tiffany, why don't we start with you? You're probably a little bit more awake than Yinka and I. You're on the East Coast and we're not. So tell us about yourself.
Thank you, first of all, for having me and inviting me to be a part of this. I'm very excited to talk about fundraising and events, and the newest topic is virtual events for sure. So I am based in Miami. So yes, I've been awake and already feel like I've had a full day under my belt. Welcome to Monday. And I've been working with nonprofit organizations for over 25 years. I began with an organization called Best Buddies when it was very, very small, and I was part of the leadership team to grow it to an international organization. And so we did, you name the event, we did it, from galas to walks to champions of the year to everything. But what I've learned since I've left Best Buddies and have moved on to other nonprofits, that the event model is not always the best way to raise money. So that's really where I work now as a consultant with nonprofit organizations to really help them figure out what is your goal and what do you want to reach, and then we'll figure out the best way to do it. Is it a gala? Is it a networking event? So that's really where I am right now. I work with a number of nonprofits, just trying to help them figure out how to navigate the nonprofit fundraising world, and even now it's more interesting in this virtual space. So that's my background.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Okay, or Yinka, how about you? I know it's bright and early in California. Tell us about yourself and Triple Pocket Events.
Sure. I'm Yinka. I am the owner of Triple Pocket Events. It's based out here in sunny San Diego, as you can see. Triple Pocket is a full-service event planning company. So mainly in the normal world, I do live events all over the country. I travel quite a lot for my clients. But recently with COVID, I've been doing a ton of virtual events, a lot with nonprofits, and some corporate sprinkled in there as well. But nonprofits have really been my main focus in this virtual event landscape. I come from a very, very corporate event planning background, and I left about a little over a year ago to really concentrate on Triple Pocket and do my own thing, and I've been loving it so far. I'm super, super excited to have this conversation because it is needed, and I hope it reaches a lot of people and kind of gets the conversation flowing even more than it's going to today. So thank you for having me.
Agreed. Thank you. No, thank you both for being here. Agreed. This conversation hopefully gets spread far and wide. Like you, Yinka, I've mainly been in the corporate world, but got into nonprofit really through just a connection and has snowballed from there. But before we get too far into that, I actually want to start with you, Tiffany, just about nonprofit events in general. And you touched on this a little bit in your introduction as well. since you consult with so many nonprofit organizations, I feel like I've seen a huge upswing in nonprofits holding virtual events to still take advantage of what we're in right now is the giving season, right? The fall is usually high gala season. So my question to you is are you seeing that as well? And should nonprofits be holding their galas virtually this year? What's your take on it?
So because I work with a few different nonprofit organizations, I've really met with the boards to decide, is a virtual, moving the in-person gala virtually, is it really going to accomplish the goals that the organization wants to accomplish? Or should we be looking at a different type of virtual experience? Because you still want to engage your donors for sure. So one of the organizations I work with, Guitars Over Guns, it has music, it has students, it has performances that will translate very well to a virtual space. The gala they've been doing has been around for 6 years. We have consistent sponsorship that's been growing. So we decided, yes, we're going to do this. And it is a mega virtual gala experience with pre-recorded content, meals being delivered by James Beard award-winning chefs to their homes, to the sponsors' homes, event wow boxes with like wine tumblers and shot glasses and swag from Guitars Over Guns. So we've really upped that experience, and we have exceeded our sponsorship by $80,000 from last year already. And the event is
awesome.
Still have 6 weeks to go. So we were very, very worried about that, but we're finding that our real support base, not only did they come back, but some of them increased their sponsorship, which we did not expect. So we have more $10,000 sponsors than we did last year with an in-person event. We have a $50,000 sponsor we did not have last year. So wow. I think, again, it's really get your committee together, get your event committee together, find out what they feel like they're going to be able to do and what event they want to create, because they're the ones who are going to get your sponsors. They're the ones who are going to get your guests. I work with another nonprofit that's attorneys, accountants. Their gala was a lot of speeches. So for them, I said, yeah, I don't know if this is going to translate as well to being on a virtual space. So we're doing a smaller Zoom breakout room experience with judges and attorneys and giving it more of like a conversational hangout feel and securing community partners for the year. So it's not just for that event, but community partners for the year that are going to be showcased on any of these networking events that we do. So that one, no big gala, but we still exceeded our revenue through our community partner concept. Guitars Over Guns, we went full out. So I think you really just need to look at your organization and where your volunteer sponsor base is and go with it. But it's all virtual. It all has to happen virtual right now.
I 100% agree. And what I'm hearing most, and correct me if I'm wrong, is goals and objectives, right? That it always goes back to what are your goals? What are your objectives? What do you need to do as an organization to stay alive? I've had that conversation with a couple of our clients as well, nonprofit clients, of do you need the money to stay alive? If so, yes, we need to kind of move forward with something. But if you're fine and you really just need to engage your members through a simpler process, maybe to your point, maybe that full-on gala isn't for them. But I love that you are talking about that and you're going to the boards and having that real conversation with them of what are your goals and objectives and what do you need to achieve for the actual event. Okay, so Yinka, we established what we just talked about is, yes, you should be doing something, whether it is, to Tiffany's point, going full out on the gala or doing something simpler, still virtual world. But how are you doing it? Because you and I have had conversations about different platforms and helping these nonprofit groups still connect with their members or donors. And you have some different experiences on what you're putting together. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. I agree 100%. You should still try as much as possible to host whatever event it is that you had live virtually. This is why I feel that having, and I'm not trying to plug myself, but having an event planner really, really helps, because that person can really take your programming and the parts of your live event that can translate really well into a virtual space. Tiffany spoke about it a little bit with Guitar Over Guns. Pre-recorded content, some live content, that's all very important. The virtual event platform that you use as well might be 100% the most important part of this whole process. There are so many out there, and it can be really overwhelming to figure out which one works best for you. But I think of, one of the organizations that I'm working with, and we are doing a virtual gala on a platform called Remo. Remo is really awesome because it already has tables and chairs, and so you kind of already have that banquet setting. You can customize it. So if you have a space, we're customizing it to look like the Hilton banquet room right now, because that's where usually it was held. And so I found a picture of the banquet space. Yep, found a picture of the banquet space, gave it to a designer. They're creating that look of the Hilton banquet, and you can sell those. We're selling those tables to our sponsors, and it can seat up to 6 to 8 people. And so you really can. You just need to really find that platform that is going to work best for the content and the programming that you have. So don't be afraid. And I say do demos of them. If you have someone in your organization that is in charge of events, just in general, that person should be on a computer doing demos, looking at all the virtual platforms that are out there and seeing which one is going to work best for what they want and the goals and objectives that they're trying to get out of this event. Really find that platform that matches super, super well with it.
Yeah. Tiffany, you and I have talked a little bit about just all these platforms and being a creative strategist. Really, you're doing the same thing that Yinka and I are doing as event producers, or just trying to figure out all of these different platforms. Do you want to, just off the cuff, do you want to comment on anything that Yinka was mentioning?
Well, early on, my sister saw this ad on Facebook for the virtual event on virtual events. And my sister was like, I think you really want to check this out. And this is when the pandemic first happened. So this event was in May. And I was like, sure, it wasn't that much money. I was like, even if I don't learn, if I learn one thing from it. And it was a 3-day conference on virtual events. And I was just blown away by the concept that they were using, which they call the Zoomzilla concept. So if you're going to go to a full-on gala where you're going to put production really behind it, this Zoomzilla concept, to me, is the way to go. So this is what we are using for Guitars Over Guns, where you have it in a production studio. Your speakers are being filmed with cameras, but there's a switcher in the back that allows people to be on Zoom rooms so they can still see each other and chat, and you can highlight the Zoom rooms, and you can spotlight people in the Zoom rooms, and you can have multiple actual, not breakout rooms, but actual Zoom rooms connected onto this switcher. And it just blew my mind when I saw it. And I was like, this is what I want. I want this kind of interaction where people can see each other and chat and be in their groups. So that is the model we're using. If anybody wants to check it out, there's free tickets at guitarsoverguns.org, and you can see if it works. But it's November 14th, and we're really working hard to make this an experience that you can have Zoom, but with high quality music, which is you can't just do through Zoom. The high quality music just doesn't work. You have to do the switcher with the production team, which is a little bit more expensive. But if you're going to do a gala, you already had a big budget. So now just shift that budget to production. And so that's my big That's my big dream on November 14th. I'll let you know how it comes out.
It's going to be great. We have all of our fingers and toes crossed for you.
Everything have fabulous meals and fabulous event boxes and wine at their homes. So can't beat that.
You can't. I remember you talking about these Facebook groups and the Zoomzillas, and you and I were just chatting about that and the production value behind it, and challenges that are arising from all of this. I think for everyone, one thing that we've been kind of dealing with in these challenges is the adoption of technology. And for you, using Zoom, I think is great because people are now, unfortunately or fortunately, and not really sure which way I go with it, are so accustomed to Zoom, right? We've been almost brainwashed as a society that like Zoom is what everyone uses. But some other challenges even that we've been faced with are the adoption of new platforms leading off of that, and firewall issues and email, et cetera. We had an event for a client in September 9th. It's almost already been a month, which is just blows my mind. Time is of no concept anymore. But we didn't want to use Zoom. We wanted to use a platform that had a little bit different functionality, right? We were able to highlight their goals and objectives were really to highlight sponsorship. The sponsors, they wanted breakout rooms for every sponsor. They wanted the ability to have connection between attendees, so actually creating a profile and being able to chat one-on-one with people, et cetera. And so we use an entirely different platform. And unfortunately, we hit the challenge of everyone wanted to be on Zoom. And we hit the challenge of this adoption of a new platform that people weren't ready for. We spent a lot of time educating attendees on how to use the platform, how to get into it, links that they needed to use and to set up their own profile. And then we also unfortunately ran into the challenge of firewall and some corporations blocking the links that we were using or the emails that we were using. So there's a lot of these challenges where you're challenged with, having X number of Zoom rooms and a switcher and a production company. We were just challenged with this pure fact of the corporate world not wanting to let go of their firewalls, which, again, understand, get it, it is what it is. But Yinka, I guess to add you into this conversation too, like what are you faced with in these challenges? Maybe specifically with Remo, do you have challenges with that or some of these other events that you're working on? What are your challenges that you're seeing?
Yeah, so I have to piggyback on everything that you said, Patrick. Technology is a huge challenge. People have different levels of comfort when it comes to technology. A lot of people have only done Zoom and only want to do Zoom. And the moment you mention any other platform, it is like you have told them that they need to build a rocket to go out of space or something. It is just blows their mind and they don't understand the concept. And so anytime I use a different platform that I know either my speakers or my attendees are just going to not want to, I do that education concept. And whether that's just multiple emails that are going out. I love doing video, so I'll always do a welcome video, and it's mainly me in my space hopping around and playing around with the platform, and I'm recording myself doing it and all the different features that the platform has. Besides technology, another huge challenge that I face as an event producer is the client choosing a platform before they have their programming and then me stepping in. I've dealt with this a lot, and a lot of clients will just randomly choose a platform, whether it is because they got an email about it or they heard about it or they went to an event where they use this platform, not understanding that that event might be 100% different from what you're doing, and your programming might not be compatible with the features of that platform. And that lately has been a huge challenge because so many clients are wanting to do something. It's been 6 months, it's been 7 months, and we haven't done a virtual event. We have to do something, and they jump the gun and they purchase a plan for a platform, and then that come to realize, oh, that platform doesn't do live content, or oh, I can't have pre-recorded content on this. And then I have to try to figure out how to go about doing it, and really then changing their entire programming, which a lot of clients don't want to change their programming in the first place. And so that's a challenge, to try to get them to understand how some of that content is not going to translate very well. I think, Tiffany, you spoke about it a little bit with the lawyer group. And so that's just been one of the challenges. So I just advise to really research and really think about your programming first, and then start looking at those virtual event platforms out there to see how they can really integrate really well with the programming you already have.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know what to say other than like, yes, yes to all of that. Tiffany, any other challenges on your end that you want to kind of bring up, or we might have covered it all? I don't know.
No, I think for us, well, for the different organizations I've worked with, especially with Guitars Over Guns, we started doing showcases on Zoom in a small scale, just hanging out, just having musicians play. The music didn't sound like clear, but to have that interaction with the musicians and with the students, and that kind of is building up to this gala. So having the opportunity for people to have a backstage pass to our showcase on Zoom, and then it's out on Facebook Live. So building in, like, what is your ultimate goal? Is your ultimate goal to get new donors? Is it to cultivate your major donors? Is it to secure high sponsorship or lots of free tickets? So I think you really need to figure out what your ultimate goal is for having an event, and then building up to it. And whether that's small virtual experiences leading up to a big one, or just communication through newsletters, and then bringing some of your top donors. So one of the organizations, she had like a cooking class where she paid for the chef and then gave the list to everybody to go, but it was a pitch to donate to support an organization. It wasn't Guitars Over Guns, it was the attorney one. And everybody had a great time, so I think you really need to figure out what is your end goal. She ended up raising like $8,000. It took no staff time, none, which is amazing as a nonprofit organization, because you really don't have extra staff time laying around. So I think you've got to look at the different models and what do you want to accomplish, and then build it around that. Like what do you need to build around to hit your ultimate goal? And it's different.
I'm going to throw something in here. Hopefully it doesn't throw either one of you off, because this wasn't part of our initial questions, but you've each brought it up. Well, I think Tiffany, maybe you a little bit more, but the concept of raising funds, right? And sponsorship dollars. So I know for us specifically, we've had multiple clients who've gotten nervous about holding an event because they were concerned about raising enough funds to be able to accommodate the cost of a virtual event, right? Because there's still a cost for a virtual event. There's still a platform. There's still people's times. There might be a subscription to something or entertainment you have to pay for, et cetera, right? Even though we've moved from in-person to virtual, there's still costs. So have you guys seen or advised or been challenged with raising funds and raising sponsorship? And have you been surprised? I'm kind of leading the conversation a little, because I know for us, for both of our events, our clients were really nervous about spending the money because they didn't think they could raise the money. But in both cases, they outperformed their previous year, either in sponsorship or donations. Have you both seen the same? Tiffany, you already said earlier, Guitars Over Guns is what, $80,000
over last year, which was in person. So we've exceeded last year's sponsorship dollars by $80,000 with a virtual event, which we never thought was going to happen. And we're still 6 weeks out, so it's going to be more.
Yinka, are you noticing anything with yours?
I am. Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of my clients, because we are in a pandemic, the world is not in the best state right now. And I think a lot of people then think because the world is not in the best state, people don't want to give. But I found that because the world is not in the best state, people do want to give, and they want to give to to causes that they support and they care about. Every single one of the events that I've done so far with nonprofits that have been donation based or raising some sort of funds, they have exceeded their goals. And so people are in a very given mood. You just sometimes have to be creative with the way that you are asking for money. Whether that is one of the events that I did, all we did was put a tip jar. It was a link to our Venmo. It just said tip jar, a cute little design of a tip jar, and you click on that link and you can just donate. And throughout the event, all the speakers and the panelists will just mention, if you're enjoying what you're seeing or what you're hearing, please just click the link on the tip jar. We ended up exceeding what the goal was, and there was no pressure involved in it. All we did was just communicate that was there for the attendees to be able to participate if they wanted to. One of the other ones that I did was, instead of having purchase tickets, we had a donation. You had to donate something, whether that was $1 to $500. It is up to you. But in order to get access to the event, to the link, you had to donate. Exceeded it as well, more than we ever expected. So yes, definitely ask for donations. People will donate. I mean, Tiffany and I just gave you however many examples of exceeding goals. So it's definitely possible. I just think a lot of people are scared to ask for money right now.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And I agree. I think the world is definitely in a giving state, especially with everything that is going on right now. Okay, thank you for playing along in that question. I didn't mean to throw a zinger any way, but I thought it was important as we were having that conversation, and I heard it come up multiple times. So I wanted to put a pin in it. So last question. For each of you, and I'll have each of you take a turn at it, is just words of wisdom. These episodes go out to a wide variety of planners, both on the corporate, the nonprofit, independent side, and they're all, I'm sure, feeling some of these same pains. So I'll start with you, Tiffany. Any departing words of wisdom that you can give for whether it is Guitars Over Guns and what you've learned along that process, or any other events, virtual events that you're working on?
For nonprofits, I think having an event committee still means a lot, and it's really important to put your time into the committees, because when you're organizing a committee, it definitely takes a lot of your staff time, but at the end of the day, they're your sponsors. They're the ones who are going to step up. And so whether it's virtual or in person, I think it's even more important virtually, because you want to give them the experience that they're going to have, and then they're going to put money behind it. And every virtual event I've done, whether it's big or small or whatever, there's some level of committee engagement, because they're going to show up. They're going to be there. If they're on your committee, they're going to come. If you try to do it all staff driven, there's no guarantee anyone's going to show up to your event. So I would definitely stress more than ever to have volunteer committees in place for any type of virtual event you do. Maybe it's only one meeting before the event, but something where you have a group of people who are willing to support it, and then you're going to have a successful event.
And sometimes you rely on those committee members to actually manage things throughout the event. I know.
Chat managers. Yes.
Exactly. I was just going to say we relied on a huge committee of volunteers to help with Zoom room monitoring or chat monitoring. So I love that inclusion. Yinka, what about you?
So because I am an event planner, event producer, I am speaking to the event planners out there. If by now you have not done a demo of any virtual event space, please do so. There are sales managers that are just waiting and eager to demo platforms for you. So talk to your event planner friends, go on Facebook groups, look at what are the popular event platforms out there and start doing demos. Most of these platforms will give you anywhere from a 2 week to a month, sometimes free trial where you can get on there and start plugging and playing and do demo events with your friends. Instead of a Zoom happy hour with your crew, put it on another platform and have everyone go on that platform and use that as a mini event for you to practice. Another thing that I think every single event planner should do, this happened to all of us. March, all of our events were canceled. All those contracts were gone. Start reaching back out to those clients. They're lost. A lot of people still have not done a virtual event because they have no idea how to even start planning a virtual event, and they're looking for guidance, and you're the guidance. So reach back out to those clients, see where they're at and how you can be helpful for them. Because right now I consider myself not really an event planner, more of like a resource for people. It just happens to be a resource in the virtual event space at this moment. But people are looking for guidance and they're looking for help and they're looking for someone who has some sort of knowledge to give them direction on how to have the best event that they could possibly have. So if you're a planner and you're afraid of the virtual event space, don't be afraid. You literally just have to jump in and start doing it. That's my word of wisdom.
I 100% agree. I think my main thing that I've learned through all of this and my wisdom, which has put more gray hairs in my head, you can't see it because of the product, but trust me, has been, to your point, along with the demos, is also just testing. Like, rehearsal. Like if I could tattoo that word on me, I probably would at this point, because between demos and just making sure everything works, the one of the biggest challenges with virtual is you never know when something's going to go down. You never know. Even Zoom back in the day, they're better at it now, but I think it was in April or something, their servers all went down. It was like Zoom, one of the biggest platforms that is out there right now, had that issue. And so rehearsal, testing everything is so important.
Yeah. I want to add, sorry, Patrick, I want to add tech checks as well. So I like to separate, when I do it, I separate my rehearsals and run-throughs from my tech checks. Just because everyone lives somewhere different. Some people are not even where they usually are. And so the internet is out, they're backlit, the server, there's so many things that could go wrong. Their webcam is like from 1988. They weren't even webcams back then, but you know what I mean. And so sometimes those webcams don't integrate really well with these up and coming platforms. And so I like to say, not only are we going to have a rehearsal, we're also going to do a tech check where I invite everyone there and we're testing your audio and your visuals. And do we need to get you an external webcam or a spotlight for $9.99 on Amazon? What do we need to get you in order to make it a really simple process? And then we can do your rehearsals.
Yep, we even did that together, right? Last week, I think it was.
Yes, we did.
We checked with both of you that you could even get on to Restream as the live streaming studio that we're using to create this background around us and just make sure that it worked for all of us. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, thank you both for just this conversation, getting together, your insights, all of everything that you're contributing to. Tiffany, I'm super excited to see Guitars Over Guns happen next month. So
What was the date
continued
again?
success to everyone.
November 14th. Go
November
sign up.
14th.
I'll send you plenty of reminder emails between now and then.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you both. Thanks everyone for watching and enjoying the conversation. And hopefully we'll see each other in person sometime soon. Thanks both. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.